The NHL has a huge mess on its hands. Late after the NHL Trade Deadline passed, we thought we had another trade to announce involving Vegas and the Anaheim Ducks. But do we? The trade is being contested due to a no-trade clause and some issues around it. We'll discuss this potential deal and whether or not it's going to happen coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we thought we had one more trade last night after the trade deadline passed to announce, and it looks as though we don't know if we do or not. This trade is in dispute. It may not happen. It may be voided, but in case you missed it, here's kind of what was supposed to happen. The Vegas Golden Knights were trading forward Evgeny Dadonov, along with a conditional second-round pick, which they had the option of either doing in 2023 or 2024, over to the Ducks for John Moore and the contract of Ryan Kessler. So clearly the Vegas Golden Knights were trying to increase their LTIR pool while at the same time subtracting from their actual salaried players. So you take Dadonov out of the mix, you increase your LTIR pool. It would allow them to be able to activate some more of their injured players before the end of the regular season, which they're going to clearly have a difficult time to do. I mean, they have Mark Stone, they have Alec Martinez, Pacioretty, Leonard have battled injuries. Like, they're in a serious cap mess, which is, well, their own doing really, but at the same time, they were trying to figure out a way around this. I think the main player that was hoping to come back sooner than later here, shortly after the deadline, was Alec Martinez. I do believe Mark Stone very well may not play until the playoffs, and he's had a lot of back issues, and that's something that may not be ready to come back now anyway. So that was the proposed trade, but after the trade was originally announced by between TSN, Sportsnet, all the NHL insiders, later on into the evening we saw a post from the Golden Knights themselves, which I'll show you here, saying that they were aware of an issue with the trade. Of course, we started getting details from NHL insiders like Elliotte Friedman, Johnston, Dreger. All these guys are getting the scoop here. And basically, it sounds like Evgeny Dadonov, who has a modified no-trade clause, had Anaheim on his no-trade list. But somehow, and I'm not sure how this is possible, which is the part that needs to get figured out and determine if this can happen or not, the Golden Knights in the league somehow didn't know about this. This seems really weird. Now, in case you remember, Evgeny Dadonov came back from Russia, played for the Florida Panthers, had some good seasons, became an unrestricted free agent a couple years ago, signed with the Ottawa Senators. Now, they signed a 3-year contract. After the first season, it was clear that he really wasn't a great fit there. And then last summer, on July the 28th, he was traded from Ottawa to Vegas. Now, apparently this modified no trade had a 10-team list where he could block trades to those 10 teams, and the condition in his contract said that his list for this coming season had to be submitted by July the 1st, 2021. That list was submitted to the Senators. Of course, I'm not sure exactly how everything works from a filing or legal perspective in the NHL, but the list reportedly was submitted. 3-4 weeks later, on the 28th, he was traded from the Senators to the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights were not on his list of teams he was blocking, so the trade went through, no problem. Now we're in a predicament where the Golden Knights are saying they did not get this list from the Senators. It was not mentioned during the trade call between Vegas and Ottawa. Like I said, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm not sure exactly how all the intergoings work at the NHL when it comes to how everything is done, but I don't understand here how this could be even to be a non-known issue, because contracts, are they not filed with the league? How can the league themselves not know of a clause in a contract? How could the Golden Knights not be aware of a modified no-trade clause in a contract on a player they were acquiring? I mean, right now, it seems like from what we're hearing, Vegas is trying to point the finger at Ottawa and say, when we traded for Dadonov, you didn't send us his list. We were not aware of this. But yet at the same time, when publicly available websites like CapFriendly and Puckpedia, who we rely upon heavily for a lot of contract information, is there for everybody to know, they were aware it's on there that he has a 10-team modified no-trade list. I don't understand how they could not be aware of it. So here's another thing. So that's kind of the backstory. Now, he'll show you a couple more tweets from Elliotte Friedman, kind of breaking down what was transpiring. So he says, first of all, Player cannot be traded without first submitting his 10-team no-trade list, deadline July 1st, 2021. He also says the trade is now officially an NHLPA issue. The player is adamant his trade list was filed on time. So clearly that was the case, because this was quite some time ago, right? So considering how the offseason works and the dates and everything, it makes a lot of sense. Now, the part that I don't understand is how they can shift blame to the Senators. At the same time, though, it might seem kind of funny, but clearly a team acquiring a player from Ottawa never even thought to check if there was a no-trade clause, which I find a little bit amusing, just because Ottawa, we know, with Eugene Melnyk and Pierre Dorian, have been sticklers for not giving out no trades. They don't like signing bonus. They're an organization that's notoriously kind of known as being kind of cheap. So it makes me laugh a little bit thinking that they never even thought to ask. But at the same time, I don't know how the filings work. Like, we've heard of cases before. Like, think way back when the Devils signed Ilya Kovalchuk. Like, his contract was rejected. So clearly when contracts are signed, they have to be submitted to the league and signed off on, right? So I don't understand how this could be the case. Like, I mean, I've dealt with contracts in my personal life in a variety of ways, and personal life from like different business perspectives. You read the fine print. Like, how is it that something is not transferred from one team to the next? The agent would be aware of this. It's really confusing how this kind of a tidbit and clause in this contract, which he obviously negotiated, could go to this extent and not be aware of. Like, the other part of this that really infuriates me is we saw how the Vegas Golden Knights handled the Marc-Andre Fleury situation when he was traded to the Chicago Blackhawks last offseason as well. The Golden Knights are developing themselves a reputation for being extremely ruthless and shrewd, which is, I understand it's a business. You want to win at all costs. I get that. But at the same time, your people need to be treated properly. And even though it's been considered a premier landing destination for NHL players since they became a franchise in the NHL, players have been wanting to go to Vegas. They love going to Vegas. Not only do you get the tax savings, but obviously it's a fun place to live. It's a new hockey environment. They've been created quite a culture there with the fan base and the arena. Like, it's just, it seems like a really cool place to play hockey, even though a lot of people question whether or not it would work. It's worked tremendously from the fans' perspective. So, there's all these things that make it wanting to go to Vegas. But I tell you, over time, if they keep treating their players like this, it's going to change, and it's going to change quick. That players are going to be leery of going there, because they're not going to want to be the next guy that gets traded with no communication and is essentially just kind of exiled from the team and treated that way. So, and my point here is that clearly they were going to make another trade and have zero conversations with the player or his agent. Because if they would that not have come up with the agent? Oh, well, where are you trading him? Anaheim. Oh, well, at least let me check. I'm pretty sure that was on his no-trade list. Simple conversation. Talk to people. Open the lines of communication. Like, come on here, Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee. Like, to me, as much as you might be able to place some blame on Ottawa, I'm not saying they're completely exonerated in all this. Because, like I said, I don't know how everything works, like in a back office type of perspective. I'm not a lawyer. But to me, it seems crazy to think that when a contract is signed, how everybody involved here would not know. Like, at the same time, is the NHL not partially on the hook here too? Like, it seems a little bit crazy for the league not to be aware of this. If contracts have to be submitted and approved by the league, how is it that during a trade call, a clause in a contract wouldn't be aware of or made known by the league? Like, to me, it just seems crazy. Absolutely crazy. So is Vegas passing off blame? Were the Senators actually negligent in this case? I really don't know, but this is a huge mess. You've got a player like Evgeny Dadonov, who you can't help but really feel for right now, who's stuck in the middle, saying, I don't want to go to that team. They're on my no-trade list. I don't want to be traded. You didn't talk to me. You didn't ask me to waive it. And now there's not going to create an extreme amount of awkwardness between he and the GM and the teammates and everybody? Like, hello? Like, friction, awkwardness, that's crazy. And Vegas is going to be in a real pickle if this trade gets voided. Like, not only are they shedding Dodonov's salary, but they're getting Ryan Kessler's contract, who can then be placed on LTIR. It's going to make things a lot more flexible for them to be able to bring back players that are healthy. And there's another little known fact as well, is that the NHL, we talk about the trade deadline. The only part about the deadline is that trades can happen anytime. There is no day of the year that an NHL trade, except for a couple days around Christmas when there's a roster freeze. Outside of that, there's no real deadline that deals can be made. The only thing that becomes as a clause with that is if you're traded after the deadline, you're not eligible to play for that rest of that season. Now, there was a common misconception. I believe the rule changed. At one point, it was you could be traded after the deadline, but you were ineligible to play in the playoffs. So clearly the Ducks are kind of assuming they're not going to make it with the massive sell-off we've seen here in the last couple days at the deadline leading to it. But it's actually been updated and confirmed by Cap Friendly that you cannot play regular season or playoff games for the rest of this year if you're traded after the deadline. So even if Vegas goes back here to try to redo this trade somehow, it's going to be a real mess. I'm not sure that it's really going to work out. And it's going to create a major cap issue for them. Like, to me, I think there's multiple sources here that could be blamed. Whether you want to blame, like I said, the Golden Knights, how do they not know about this? Not communicating with the agent and player yet again. Was Ottawa supposed to send paperwork that didn't get sent? Okay, maybe they're part of the blame too. I don't know. I mean, I'm not giving them a free pass here either because I honestly don't know what the rules are. But how can the league not be aware of this when everything's supposed to be approved and filed through them, when all contracts are done, trades are approved, etc., etc.? It's all kind of mind-blowing here how this is just, a complete mess. And I can think of some other words to call it here as well, which I'll kind of bite my tongue. But it's just such a rejected trade at this point that it's going to cause a lot of issues. And I'm not sure if there's a simple solution. I don't think there is to fixing it. Evgeny Dadonov stays with Vegas. Like I said, awkwardness with his team. Do you want to be the guy that's looked upon by the organization as, I wouldn't waive and I'm going to cause you to have cap issues and we might not make the playoffs now? Like, that's a serious bad spot to be in. So you don't want that. You feel for him, wants to play where he wants to play because, it's terrible. And you get John Moore, who was moved from Boston to Anaheim, and now he's being moved again, and he's kind of in limbo going, am I a Duck? Am I a Golden Knight? What the heck am I? I just want to, know where I'm supposed to go here. So it's just a huge mess. So let me know what your thoughts on the situation is. Do you know, especially if you have any kind of other knowledge of the league and anything, who was really to blame here? Is there any way of fixing it? I don't think there is. I think the trade's going to be voided, and I think it's going to cause a lot of issues, and we'll see what the outcome is. But we'll certainly do another video talking about it further once we know more. So let me know what you think, and we'll discuss in the comments. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. Of course, this is the place to get all your NHL news from around the NHL trade deadline, the NHL playoffs, and everything going into the offseason. We're post here 365 days a year. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.